On today's episode of the Ango Show, we're going to be talking about another new WWE signing, but I do have a lot of questions on that. It is actually quite confusing. Also, we got to talk about it, guys. WWE Return, Evolution, it's coming up. Confirmed plans for tonight's Raw. And yes, we are going to talk about WWE Unreal. Very interesting report there. And as always, guys, I'm going to keep you updated with everything that's happening in professional wrestling. So if you guys like WWE and AEW and TNA and all these other companies, make sure you click that subscribe button. Trust me, you never want to miss a video. This is the channel that's going to bring it to you every single day. And there's a lot of things happening in professional wrestling, so you guys already know the deal. Let's talk about WWE Unreal. More specifically, The Rock actually has some involvement, but it appears it's only for the episodes that he appears on, which is quite interesting. Now, before I break down the report, I need to remind you that WWE Unreal is a TV show on Netflix where they peel back the curtain. They show you what it's like to be in the writer's room and WWE coming together, scripting things out, planning things out. Now, what's really crazy is there was a report from Post Wrestling. And in this report, they have come out and said that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has a team of people who actually provides notes and feedback for the episodes that he appears in. And for example, on WWE Unreal, there is an episode where the Rock appears in it, basically highlighting and the whole heel turn with John Cena. Basically, that's the involvement there. So The Rock, we know he's a board member. We know he's an executive now within WWE. We know that he offers contributions to WWE from a creative process, but we don't really know the synergy that The Rock has with Triple H, which is probably the biggest concern that a lot of people have mentioned, because there is this factor that Triple H is the chief creative content officer, and then you have The Rock, who's a board member who's getting paid a crazy amount of money for WWE to be involved on the board with TKO, and because of that, The Rock has kind of inserted himself, yes, in storylines, but of course behind the scenes as well. So WWE Unreal peels back the curtain on this, but it's actually become quite controversial because a lot of people feel like The Rock might be gunning for Triple H's job. Not in the sense that The Rock would actually take Triple H's job, but we all know that Brian Gerwitz is somebody who works with The Rock under $7 Productions, and this is a guy who used to be a WWE writer. A lot of people have this like controversy, this feeling as if maybe, just maybe, The Rock is, well, The Rock might be trying to get Brian Gerwitz Triple H's job, which is obviously very, very chaotic as it is. The show seems to be pretty cool, right? Like the idea and the concept of it. We'll have to see what this actually leads to moving forward, or what this means for The Rock and his journey in WWE. That brings us to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Just a week ago, we were talking about Trish Stratus returning to WWE. Well, today, PW Insider has come out and confirmed that Trish Stratus is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for WWE Raw, and it is expected that Trish Stratus will be on Raw to kick off a new program for Evolution 2. Now, of course, Trish Stratus is a legend. I welcome the idea of stacking the show with a legend. I have no problem with Trish Stratus being on Evolution. I have no problem with Trish Stratus being in a big program for Evolution. However, I do have a problem with how WWE has started to build Evolution. It's a little bit of a criticism that I have, but this idea that Trish Stratus is coming in 2 weeks before the show even goes, how do you build a very sufficient storyline in just 2 weeks? And I think WWE obviously has a lot of stuff. They just did Night of Champions and they have a lot of things going on. But at the same time, too, I do find it to be relatively problematic that the fact that Trish Stratus, who is this legend, has not really been on TV programming building to the pay-per-view. And I talked about Evolution previously, so maybe you're new here. But one of my issues that I have with Evolution as a PLE right now as it stands is the fact that a lot of it is being rewritten and reworked because of the Liv Morgan injury. Now, because of that, I find it to be kind of problematic. Listen, the reality is that Evolution should be a good pay-per-view, especially on paper. But the problem is we're 2 weeks away, and on paper, we have very little. There's rumors of Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. There's rumors of Raquel and Roxanne going up against the Bella Twins. We don't really know what's going to happen. We don't really know what WWE is going to do. And with so little time to actually build to it, I'm afraid that it actually hurts Evolution. I believe WWE always had the plan to do Evolution, But in 2 weeks, AEW is doing All In. So I'm kind of curious to see how WWE is trying to navigate this kind of thing. And that's what makes things really difficult here, because if they're doing things to be competitive to AEW or to slow AEW's growth, that's one thing. But if you're going to do it while not necessarily having a major plan in place, that's where it becomes very problematic. So I'm very curious to see how this all unfolds. Of course, with Trish Stratus, you're going to have her on the show, right? You need to have her in a big program. Based on WWE programming currently, I'm not really sure how they go about this, which is why I'm intrigued, and that's why I'm happy that she's going to return. But I don't really know where she fits with all of this women's wrestling that is currently ongoing in WWE. There's so much stuff happening in NXT, there's so much stuff happening on the main roster. Like, there's just so much happening. Plus, there's rumors of TNA being involved. I'm just trying to figure it all out, but I really don't know what WWE's plan is here, and that's crazy. And that brings us to our final topic. Ladies and gentlemen, WWE has another new signing, and this one is the most confusing of them all, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Octagon Jr. apparently has signed with WWE, and well, as you guys know, we saw Octagon Jr. in WWE as part of, Money in the Bank, where he went up against Dominic Mysterio. We saw him at Worlds Collide. Octagon Jr. is obviously part of AAA. We heard of WWE signing Psycho Clown, and I'm glad they want to bring in more luchadors. I'm glad they want to bring in more talent from AAA. I'm glad that they're signing them to actual WWE contracts. However, there is a little bit of a concern here, and I don't know why people aren't talking about this. Octagon Jr. was recently revealed to have signed with TNA. TNA obviously works with AAA. TNA also works with WWE, but they publicly revealed that TNA had signed Octagon Jr., which was obviously a pretty big deal. Now, WWE, according to Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net, they've apparently signed Octagon Jr. to a contract. Now, sources close to Haynes says that basically the luchador has been informing people that he's working his final dates, he's fulfilling his current commitments before officially joining WWE, and he will not be accepting bookings anymore anytime going forward, which is the same situation as that we saw with Psycho Clown, who is basically joining the company after August of 2025. So now we're in a situation where Octagon Jr. was revealed to have signed with TNA. Now he's signed to WWE. Well, what was his contract situation with TNA? I don't know. And that's why this is obviously relatively confusing. Super talented dude. Whether it's TNA, whether he's out there in TNA killing it with Laredo Kid, or whether he's in WWE, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think he should be on more TV screens, so that's obviously a good thing. But relatively confusing situation. I kind of want to figure this out relatively soon, because I'm assuming, like Psycho Clown, for example, Laredo Kid, Mr. Iguana, Octagon Jr., some of these names that are rumored to be joining WWE, are they going to NXT? Are they going to WWE's main roster? What's the situation there? I really don't know, but we will find out. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.